So welcome back to another episode, and I just finished watching a video by LifeSpiller79 called YouTube Famous, and he was talking about what it is to be YouTube famous and all that kinds of stuff. I'll put a link to his video down below, and the whole thing kind of got me thinking and made me want to make a video myself and talk about this whole YouTube famous thing. And I don't think it's a negative thing. I think we should, first of all, drop the word famous. You know, I think that adds like some fabulousness to it that doesn't need to exist. I think it should be known as YouTube well known. And yeah, I think I will just get into my story about all of this and how I got involved in YouTube and some of my motivations, some of the things I wanted, what I got, how unusual it is. And I just wanted to speak fully, bluntly to the camera today and talk about my experiences with it all. And I'll start with where I was before YouTube. And, I was playing a lot of video games. I was always the person that I am now. But I didn't have a YouTube show, and I didn't even think about having a YouTube show. But I was filming. I was making films and stuff like that and enjoying that aspect of it. And I saw a guy called the Angry Video Game Nerd. And I watched his videos, and I was just taken back. I was absolutely taken back. I'd never seen anything so damn cool in my life. I thought it was so fun that he was, that he had created this character. And at first, I didn't even know it was a character. I'm like, is this like, I'm like, this guy really hates video games. And then a couple of episodes in, you realize that, oh no, he's doing this for fun, obviously. But this is in the very beginning of the internet, internet videos. I'd never seen anything like this. And I was so blown away by James Rolfe and everything he did with, the AVGN. I thought it was incredible. I mean, I can't tell you the effect it had on me. I was like, wow, this is so interesting. And so he was doing his show, and I was a smoker, and I sat smoking one night, and I had this epiphany. I was like, why don't I start a YouTube show? And I'm like, where I can, like this, the Angry Video Game Nerd, he's talking about games that, that piss him off. It's a character. It's fun. But I thought, why don't I start a show where I'm really talking about real collecting and real, the real hobby of video games that, because at first he was just doing the Angry Video Game Nerd character. So I was like, why not, make videos on like Earthbound and Lunar and Ys and Phantasy Star. There was nobody doing that. Or talk about the Neo Geo. Nobody had ever done that on YouTube. It was bizarre. So here's the thing. All I ever wanted to do at that point was have a show that was good. And it was a rough start for me because I didn't want to talk in front of a camera. I didn't have any motivation for that. I was a smoker. You guys remember I was very thin. I was very insecure in front of the camera. I didn't want to do it. But I wanted to do the show. I wanted to talk about the games. And I'll come back to that later. I wanted to talk about all the games that I loved. I wanted to make a show about that. So I forced myself to do this thing, and it was really hard. It was really, really tough. And I had my first bunch of years were really hard being in front of the camera, learning editing of a show. And I didn't even know the format of the show I wanted to do. I didn't even get it. I was just like, I didn't want to be an AVGN clone. I wanted to be my own show, but I didn't know what that was. There was nothing to follow back then. Even when I built up my shelves behind me, nobody had ever done anything like that. And I was scared when I first came out with the show. I was like, oh my God, everybody's going to laugh at me. I'm a guy sitting in front of my video game collection talking about video games. They're going to think this guy's a loser. And I was like, I can handle that because I want to do the show. I was really interested in talking about what my motivation was I was scared that a lot of games were going to be forgotten about. We were living in a time back in 2008 where people weren't talking about Phantasy Star and Ys and all of this. I've talked about a lot of this before, but people weren't, and I was worried that it was all going to get forgotten, that people were not going to remember these games. And I felt this obligation that I should come on and talk about it because I was scared that all the things I grew up with that I loved were going to be forgotten about. I had that genuine kind of fear. It was weird that you look at it now and the internet is very healthy. YouTube is very healthy now. It's changed a hell of a lot from the olden days because there's so much content on now. Where I remember back in the day, I did my Neo Geo episode and I was the first person on. So isn't that weird? As the first person to really do a full-on review of the Neo Geo. You know, I think there was Jedites had talked about it, but it was sitting there with a collection of games and stuff like that. Nobody had done that. It was weird. But what was my motivation? I guess the motivation was I thought, well, I'll just do the show and hopefully the show gets bigger. I wanted the show to do well. Yes. Okay, here's the thing. Did I want to be YouTube famous? I hate the word famous. I fucking hate that. I wanted to be well known for loving the things that I do. And it goes back to when I was a younger guy, I wanted to be a comic book artist. And my dream as a kid always was to live in New York City and draw comic books for a living, for Marvel Comics or something. And to live in a small apartment and just draw. And I always thought, wouldn't it be great if I could go to a comic book convention and be recognized for the comics that I drew, for the love that I had, for the passion of that. You know, I've never in my life ever wanted to be an actor. I've never wanted to be like a Tom Cruise actor person on TV. I would hate that. I don't want to be a make-believe character in a movie. I know for some people, acting and stuff is what they want to do, and I totally appreciate it. I get it. I've worked with a lot of great actors, but that's never been my motivation. I've never wanted to be, an actor. I wanted to be well known for what I loved. That's what I've always wanted. I wanted people to go, oh yeah, John, he loves Phantasy Star Knees and things like that. And what's interesting is, as this show's gone on, over time, that has happened. I am now pretty well known for loving video games and doing this show. It's been an extraordinary journey. Some people I think now aspire to just be YouTube famous, is the term. Where it should be about, it doesn't matter what show you have. It doesn't matter if you're doing a cooking show or whatever. It should be about the material, I think. It should be about that stuff. It shouldn't be about the end result. Like, I want to be internet famous. That's not a good... I think you can do that and accomplish it. A lot of people have. A lot of people have started after me and become huge, massive. I still feel in 8 years I have a pretty small show. For 8 years doing it. But everybody has different reasons for doing all this stuff. And for me, even doing panels and things like that, I kept thinking to myself, I'm going to do a panel? People will want to... I feel really embarrassed. Even every time I do a panel, I've never said this. I've said this in some of my vlogs. I feel almost embarrassed to be up there. I was like, why am I up here in front of everybody? I've always had the kind of mentality that one day somebody's going to come knock on my door and say, excuse me, you're not an actor, you're not, you don't really fit the bill of the YouTube guy. You got to get off YouTube now. I'm not making that up. When I look at myself, I don't feel that I belong on YouTube. I'm being dead serious. I'm a guy that grew up loving anime and video games and, drawing on my own. And, I never thought I'd be in front of a camera. It's bizarre. It's a very, very bizarre thing. I was talking to a couple of my friends. I was talking to Jay Hoop the other night, and we were talking about how bizarre it is to put yourself in front of a camera, fully exposed for the world. That's a pretty weird thing to do. It's a pretty weird thing to sit in this room by myself and just talk about video games. You know what I mean? It's a really strange thing. And it was funny, like, I think even Jay Hoop said, he goes, wow, we have to have huge egos to do this. And I said, no, I don't feel that it's an egotistical thing. It's not an egotistical thing that gets me in front of the camera. It's that I have points that I want to get across in episodes or things. I want to talk about a series. I want to talk about fucking Samurai Showdown and the Neo Geo and why I personally thought it was cool. And maybe somebody else will share that experience. I've often thought with this show, it's not that I'm up here and the audience is down here. I've thought because of the kind of person that I am, that we're together. The audience and me are together. It's not, anything else. It's more the fact that we all share the same hobby in common. So when somebody says to me, wow, I love Phantasy Star 2, and I'm like, oh yeah, did you start? Like, I'm so happy when they played it in 1988, when I did. There's this common ground that we have, and it's it's really a wonderful thing. And what do I think of being YouTube famous now, or well known on YouTube? It's an unusual thing. It's unusual to be walking down the street and be recognized. It's happened to me so many times in my small city of Vancouver here that it's extraordinary. Can you imagine this? This happened a couple of weeks ago. I'm walking into Best Buy. I'm just leaving the parking lot, walking across the road, right to the front entrance, and there's two guys walking out of the Best Buy. And the one guy he leans over to his friend, he goes, oh my God, that's a Happy Console Gamer. And he didn't hear, I guess he didn't think that I heard him. And I'm like, hey man, how's it going? Because that's the type of person that I am. And I thought, how weird is this that this guy is whispering to his friend, oh my God, this is the Happy Console Gamer. Like, when did that happen? It's so unbelievable. And even I at times I underestimate how many people watch the show. I really completely underestimate it. I just think it's this little thing that I'm doing in this room, and I put it out there, and there's comments, and good, bad, or negative, or whatever they may be for that topic of the day, and that seems to be about it. I know it's funny when I got like 8,000 people on Twitter, 5,000 people on Facebook, and 6,000 in one group, 6,000 in another, and I guess I don't quantify it. I can't wrap my head around it because it's something I can't see. It's only when I go to a convention and I meet people who watch the show, because I'm a really face-to-face person. So when that guy was walking out of Best Buy, he's like, hey, this is a Happy Console Gamer. I'm like, hey man, I just wanted him to say hi and be cool, and I wanted to be cool back. And that's the kind of experience. It's funny how bigger it's all gotten, and it's only at conventions. That's the only time I can meet anybody and talk to them, and it kind of sinks in. And it's at the conventions, this surrealness hits me. Not that, oh fuck, I'm some cool dude. It's never that. It's more the fact that, wow, this has gotten really big. This is really surreal, and I can't really wrap my head around it, type of thing. But it's an interesting topic, isn't it? It's an interesting topic, talking about different motivations for coming on YouTube, and a lot of people have a lot of different motivations for coming on YouTube. Some people see bigger shows and and they think, wow, I want to be like those guys. And that's an illusion. You know what I mean? It's an illusion. Even when it's that I don't really think that really exists that way. I think motivations for coming on YouTube should be to talk about things that are important, whatever that may be. It doesn't matter if it's about video games or anything, as I say. It should be about that fact, and not. I think. Yeah, I don't know. As I say, some people want to be internet famous. That's the motivation. I want to be well known on YouTube, and they go off and do it. I know this one really massive YouTuber, and I won't say their name, came into a forum that I was on, and it's like, "Hey, I want to become really big. How do I get a lot of subscribers?" And I was just like, me and a bunch of other YouTube guys were like, I don't know. And this is quite a few years ago. This is like 5-6 years ago, and that person's huge now. And that's what their motivation was. I want subscribers. I want to, and all that. And here's the thing. Do I want more subscribers? Yes. Do I want more views? Yes. Do I enjoy being well known for the show? Yes. I enjoy all those things. I think they all go hand in hand. I've never met anybody who came onto YouTube and said, I want negative subscribers and negative views. I don't think anybody's ever said anything like that. So I think the motivation on YouTube is a certain direction and all of that. But wow, did I ever get into a big rant there? I think I really wanted to talk about the aspect of being on a show that's gotten a little bit more notoriety and what that's like. It's been a very, very positive experience. It's been an incredible experience over the years. It's something that it's gotten to this point now that I didn't think. I'm kind of shocked by it. And there's certain times when I want to step away from it because I come onto the show to talk about games and all that, and there's all this sometimes other drama that goes on in YouTube land that I just don't want to even be a part of. I just want to make videos and enjoy all that aspect. It's funny, isn't it? But it's quite funny starting a show and where it ends up. That's kind of what happens, So what do you guys think about being YouTube famous? YouTube famous, geez, what a term. So anyways, guys, until next time.